Hey, it's Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. We are going to create a kit. This is a sold out kit, but we're going to do the demonstration and the video for it. The kit came with one of our patent pending 14-inch pancake wreath frames. It came with a full roll of mesh. It came with 15 pipe cleaners, your sign, 3 ribbons for your bow. It also came with 2 ribbons for your tails. Let me just show you what those are. 2 ribbons for your tails. I've already pre-cut them to make this video go a little faster. When you receive your kit from me, it will be folded just like this. There'll be 5 yards of the ribbon tails, or 15 feet. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The length of the ribbon tail bundles vary. So depending on what kit you purchase from me, that will, depend on what you're receiving. But it will come like this folded. Don't just slip your scissors in here and cut. Chances are this is 12 inches. It's just easier for us to prepare the kits if we use a 12-inch board to cut the ribbon. But you need 14-inch ribbon tails. You need 14-inch ribbon tails. So a little bit longer. Not the end of the world if you don't follow the directions and have already cut it. You'll just have 12-inch tails. It'll be fine. When I started this design, I started it with 12-inch tails, so it's fine. But I really do like the 14-inch. And so be careful. Of course, you do not want to cut the ribbon that is for your bow, which in this case is the buffalo plaid, the polka dots, and the candy corns. You'll know because these ribbons for the bow are a lot thinner. These are 2 yards typically, and the ribbon for the tails are 5 yards typically, depending again on the feet. That might vary. Anyway, so don't pre-cut them. Don't just assume that they are right and cut. Make sure you're cutting and remeasuring with your 14-inch boards so that they're 14 inches long. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add our pipe cleaners to the pancake frame. Now, this frame is super duper easy. Super easy. There are notches in the outside. You see here. Let's zoom in a little bit further. There are notches in the outside that match a hole. Okay? So where the notches are, there's a hole. For every one of those notches, put your pipe cleaner in where the hole is. And I say that because there are a couple of extra holes. You see there's no notch here, no notch there. There's a couple extra ones. Those are to help guide you if you need help for your sign placement or a bow placement. Excuse me. So we're just going to add a pipe cleaner where every single one of these are. Okay, every single one, exactly where they are. We're going to go through here and add. Now, it's not important. You see those do not line up. They don't match. They're not the same length. It's fine. We're going to cut off most of this anyways. I find that, some people are like, well, why don't you just cut it in half anyways? Well, that makes it a little tough. That does make it a little tough. Hold on, I'm just redoing this here. As far as when you're trying to, it just makes it tough. I try not to cut them in half. I think they're 2 cents a piece. If you're using them, they're 2 cents a piece. So I try to just, use a whole one just because. Anyways, so right in the center, pull it out towards the edge. I'm just tying it really tight. Just 2 twists there, just tight enough that it's not going to come apart, really, is the goal. Now on the frame, I'm just tying this. Doesn't matter. I'm just tying it tight. That's what matters. I'm just tying it tight. And then the last one. So we have 12. Now the patent pending frame is based on my pancake design, which is a budget-friendly design. We're going to use our 14-inch, our 10-inch mesh. I'm just going to cut one clean cut here to start. And then we're cutting these at 20 inches. So the patent pending frame comes as a bundle. Hold on. If you're looking for the actual frame itself, you can go to thepancakeframe.com. Thepancakeframe.com will bring you directly to the listing for the frame. It actually comes in a bundle, a 14-inch, a 10-inch, and a sign extender. Okay, 14-inch, 10-inch, and a sign extender. So the first 6 pieces that we cut 20 inches, I'm going to set those aside and use those at a later date for the 10-inch frame. There's a reason for that. The pieces that come off here are the most loose, the first 6, and I'll show you the demonstration as to what the differences are. But I want to use those pieces specifically on this frame. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to set these aside. And I'm also just a little different, of course. My right at the 20-inch mark, it's even warped. I've used it so many times, it's warped there. So I'm going to start at 5 inches and go to 25. Even that's starting to get a little bit worn out, but just so you don't think I'm crazy and picking any random number. So they are 20 inches long. Again, those first 6 I am going to set aside for a different project. Now, if you don't have the 10-inch frame or don't intend to use the 10-inch frame, you can use these first 6 pieces. That's absolutely quite all right. Okay, and then I'm just going to roll those back up. Real gentle. So if you see, take a note. Look how big those are. They're big. Those are big. They come from the outside of the roll. They're nice and fluffy. Right? Okay, and then the things that come off the inside of the roll are really thin. They're really rolled tightly. So they're used to that, being around the center of that roll. Sit right up there. Okay, so now what we take off, the next 6 pieces are going to go around the outside. So we're doing the Pancake 1.0 today. There are 2 versions at the moment. There are 2 versions. So this is the Pancake 1.0. Again, that's 4. And we need 2 more to go on the outside. 20 inches long. So I think it's important, I know that part is boring when I'm cutting, but I think it's important for you to see and know that there is a difference in to what I'm using and why. So if you're using these as a kit, you know what to do. Okay, we're going to ruffle right up the center, right up that center. Make sure that the center mesh is staying nice and tiny. The gather is nice and even, and it's real little teeny tiny. So we have a class coming up, depending on when you're watching this. We have a class in August, the end of August, beginning of September, that's all about this frame. So we'll be teaching not only this design in detail, in maybe a little bit more detail than this even, but we'll also be teaching all the different ways to use our frame. So I'm just going to scrunch up the center here. Real teeny tiny, as tiny as you can. Just pinch it. Put it right down in that mesh. bring the pipe cleaners through, crisscross nice and tight, crisscross 2 times, overlap those ends, and overlap the top so that you can extend that, take up a lot of real estate there. Kind of sliding those pieces of mesh right kind of underneath the pipe cleaners in the center, and then taking those ruffles and kind of flipping them inside out so it stays round and flat, sort of round and flat like a pancake. That's where the name came from. I'm going to do that all the way around. I like those to be on the edge. Nice and tight, squish it. Everything gets flipped upside down. Believe it or not, for the most part, it stays too. Right up the center, every single time. So the carb class that we have, we call it the carb class because pancakes are a carb. And we're doing all the variations of the class. Of the designing on the frame. If you're interested in taking this class, it's going to be design, it's going to be talking about how to price, it's going to be talking about how you put your wreath in a box to ship it. It's going to be talking about what it looks like as far as purchasing materials for a class. So let's say you want to host a class with this design. Like, how many rolls of mesh would you need? How many rolls of ribbon would you need? And what that kind of cost looks like. So we're going to be walking y'all through that part. And then tips on photography. There'll be a couple of videos in there for that. It's going to be a great class. I am co-hosting with a very good friend of mine and my mentor, Damon from Deco Exchange. So even if you're watching this video after August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd, you will still be able to purchase the class after the fact. If you want to learn all the ways. So there is a recording in there with just the pancake, what I call the Pancake 1.0 and the Pancake 2.0. However, the rest of the tutorials that'll be in that class will not necessarily be the pancake wreath. They'll be made on the frame, but there'll be other designs, both big and smaller. A couple of different things in there. Okay, so I know this looks kind of weird, and you're thinking, well, I can still see the frame. That's number one. You can see it clearly. We're going to add some ribbon. Again, according to the beginning of the video, I want to make sure, these are cut at 14 inches. Your ribbon is going to come folded. It's probably in 12 inches. Make sure you unfold it and cut them 14 inches or to your desired length. Obviously, it is the supply that you receive during the kits is based on this recipe. So if you were trying to cut them longer, you may not have enough. Okay, so I'm going to fold those in half, crisscross, twist it 5 or 6 times, just enough so that the pipe cleaner is twisted about 1 inch or so. I'm just going to push that in. Then I'm going to take our ribbon tails and spread them apart so that we can see fully the stripes and the polka dots. I'm just going to put that in here a little bit. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Again, I have them pre-cut for myself for this video. In the kit, they are not pre-cut. The ribbon comes to you in 5 yard or whatever the measurements are designated. So it's not on a roll, but it will not be cut to the length that you need. So one thing I'm going to point out is I always keep a pattern going. Okay, so I have polka dot stripes, polka dot stripes, polka dot stripes, polka dot stripes, and you keep that going all the way around the same way. So typically I put my favorite on the top. In this case, it is the polka dots. However, there's the black mesh and the black polka dots, and so I wanted to make sure we don't lose that orange stripe. So I put the orange stripe on the top. I'm just going to put these in here and then we'll cut them all at the same time. Nice and tight. So again, this is the Pancake 1.0. If you're looking for a video on the 2.0, you can find that in my on my YouTube channel. It's Sincerely Creative Mom. I mean like a tutorial where I'm not like chit-chatting back and forth with folks on a live, that kind of tutorial. Alright, so then we're just going to cut all these off at the same time and get rid of them. And then make sure all of your tails come out towards the edge, so nothing goes towards the center of the wreath. Everything comes out towards the edge. So if you're in the carb class, again, that's carbswithmel.com. I talked all the way through this with all of the details I could possibly think of. Even if you've watched me make this design 100 times, which I know I've made several hundred, it's still a good video to watch to grab some nuggets. Alright, so from here, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to cut more mesh, cut the last of our mesh, and put the mesh on the inside, the ribbon on the inside, add the sign, and then add the bow. Okay, so we need our last 6 pieces. Now you see how these are a lot tighter, and they're going to get tighter as we go along. Is our lucky number, so we need 6 more. One, two, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just enough. Now remember that first piece was really big. That's really small. Okay. this out of the way, bring this back to us, and we're going to put that right on top. We're not going to move anything else out of the way. We're going to go right on top. I'm going to use that piece. So on the outside here, we want those pieces to really, when you let go, to really just pull up some, cover some real estate there. And the pieces that are on the inside of that roll, they don't tend to do exactly that. So that's why we put them on the inside. Keep in mind, the whole point of this wreath, the pancake wreath, is to be round and flat like a pancake so that it fits between the storm doors. So it fits between your main door and your storm door. You may not have a storm door, but your customers might. And so if they're if they're like, oh, I love that sign and the ribbon, but it's too thick for me. You're like, wait, I have a great solution. Right up the center, all the way you can. Go right down on top. Put it all the way. Put your fingers with that pinch, that mesh, the center of that mesh, all the way down to the bottom. And you can overlap and overlap up here. Kind of use your whole hand to keep them in place. Right down on top. Nice and tight. So even though that mesh does go over top of that layer, you're still seeing them kind of peek out through. And then once you have that second layer on, it looks really nice. You don't want to let that, you just want to unroll that so you can get the whole thing up. Always overlapping and flipping those under. Again, making sure it goes all the way down to the frame so it's not floating in air. Push it down. Those ends here are gonna fray. Look at, you see that? It's fraying. It's fine. You're going to overlap them. You're going to overlap the top. You're going to flip those all under to keep them in place. Last, whoopsie. Last piece. Now, I'll say this. This was a kit, okay? And I underestimated, so in order to make sure everybody got their kit in the correct ribbon, that means the material that I had left over wasn't quite enough for all of the ribbon tails I need. So what you're going to see here is a little different than what you'll have, or if you purchase this kit, or what any kit would have. I would never do this to, you know, folks who are getting the kit. This is just for my design. So 2 of my black and white polka dot ribbons, instead of it being the 2.5 inch, what you see, 2.5 inch, are actually 1.5 inch. I'm going to try to blend it so you can't really notice in the end, but we'll see how that kind of plays out. Anyways, so here we are, all of our ribbon on the first layer. Looks good. Going in for the second layer. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I got the orange on the top, the black on the bottom. I'm putting it in there, squishing it all the way down, crisscross, nice and tight, twist it 7 or 8 times, go to the next one. Okay. Now, if you're a wreath maker, you're doing this for a business, the more things you can do at the same time, the better you off are as far as time, because time equals money. So I'm going to try to put all of these in and then go back and take my snips, my wire cutters, and snip off all the excess all at once. And one thing I did at the beginning was I took my sign and I added my zip tie mounts to the back already, and I added a little bit of glue. And just for extra security, we're going to add a little bit of, so I added our zip tie mounts. They come with your kit. And then I added these they're like super, I can almost not even open them up. But I added the, whatever they're called, to them to kind of help the glue stay in there. So there is, under here, there is, what kind of glue is it? E6000. Nope, that's not. DAP Rapid. There's DAP Rapid glue underneath there. And I'm just taking a little bit of the hot glue just for extra. Guys, I usually try to use the, hopefully that'll dry in the next couple minutes. I try to use the staple gun. I'm out of staples. And these come with the kit anyway, so that's it. Okay, here are the 2 where I ran out of the 2.5 inch and I was panicking. So again, this is just for me. This isn't, if you got the kit, you have all the 2.5 inch ribbon. Clearly, I don't try to practice that, but it happens sometimes. And so it obviously had to be mine. What I'm going to do is where those 2 are, I'm going to put the bow. Right? So it'll kind of camouflage it a little bit, not so kind of in your face. I thought it was only going to be 1, which would have been perfect, because 1 I could really hide easy. But 2, it's going to be fun. Okay, cut them all off. Same thing. I'm going to push that forward, pull my ribbons apart. I'm going to keep that same pattern. Remember out here it was polka dot stripe, polka dot stripe. I'm going to keep that same pattern, polka dot stripe, polka dot stripe. I love how they layer. It looks so good. And the black and white and orange. Always a Halloween favorite. Traditional Halloween. I don't know when purple was introduced. Or green even. Well, okay, here's the two. There are the polka dot, the smaller polka dots. Again, we're going to try to hide those underneath the bow. I mean, this goes for, you know, I tried to find the ribbon that was closest to what I already had. I stayed in the same color that was already in there. And we're going to hide it with a bow. So, you know, if this is something like, you know, you have ribbon, you're like, oh, I have almost enough. You know, I don't have enough to do the whole thing. I mean, no one is going to know. And I mean, unless you put it right here and then right here where everybody's going to see, and then there's only two of them, and the people are going to be like, what's going on? But in this case, you see, let me zoom you out a little bit here. Okay, in this case, there is only two, but we're going to put them under where our bow is. Okay, and my pipe cleaner is going to go, I guess it doesn't matter. My pipe cleaner is going to go through here. I'm sorry, it's going to go through there, crisscross nice and tight. Same with this. On the side, go through. Crisscross nice and tight. Now, the goal of your sign is to hide your pipe cleaners as best as you can. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to cover them all, but you want to do it as best as you can. And then the bow is going to hide the rest. So I'm going to set that down just for a second. And we are going to make our bow together. Okay, we're going to start with our 4.5 inch. Let's zoom you in. We're going to start with our 4.5 inch on the bottom. Typically we're talking about a 7 inch. I'm going to go with an 8 inch, an 8 inch tail, and then a 6 inch loop. It's just how I make my bows. If you have a special way to make yours, by all means. So I'm going to pinch, and then twist, and then make another loop, and then pinch, twist, make another loop. So this bow is going to have 3 loops total and 2 tails total for each layer. Okay, let's slide that in there. So 2 tails, 1, 2, 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now every time I put a layer in, I'm gonna go with the opposite side. I'm gonna go with the orange next. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one you do. I do like to see the 2.5 inch on the bottom, but whichever one you want to go next, whether it be the orange polka dot or the candy corn, that's up to you. So 7 inch, I'm sorry, I think I went 8 inches. 8 inches, 7 inches, 7 inches, 7 or 8 inches on the tail, about 6 inches on the loop. Everything from there gets a little bit smaller. So not necessarily am I saying this is 5.3, 75 inches or whatever. I just know that this is a little bit shorter than this. Okay, so pinch, same thing, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop, pinch, and twist. Now, the 2 loops are here. So these 2 loops I'm going to put on the opposite side. So I always try to go opposite. It helps with the bow, the balancing of the bow. You'll see what I mean. This has extra ribbon. If you wanted to, you can do 2. This particular kit is 2 yards. So if you wanted to do 2 loops on each side, you could do that. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay, loop is going to be our center, so that's about a 3-inch loop. About a 3-inch loop. That's going to be the center of our bow. Okay, so I have our tail, now I have our center, and then I'm just going to still twist. I'm going to still do 3 loops. So that little one isn't going to count against my loop count. Pinch, twist, loop. Okay, now 2 loops over here. Here's my 2 loops. I need those to go on this side. Again, it's mostly just for balancing that bow. So the carb class that we're working on, or that's coming up on August 31st, September 1st, and September 2nd, I just want to show you. We are, of course, working everything on our frames. This isn't a design that's in the group or in the class, but I wanted to show you just how big some of these wreaths can get. This is, of course, this is on the patent pending frame, on the frame, and again, just a different style, nice and big, got some greenery in there, lots of ribbon, all the things. Definitely not a pancake. It is a little different style. So we'll be teaching several different designs inside the carb class. So again, if you're interested or just want to know more about it, you can check it out at carbswithmel.com, because pancakes are a carb. If you are a Creative Coaching member already, don't forget you can log into your membership, and a discounted ticket will be there for you. It is a pretty good discount, so don't forget to do that. Okay, so here we are, all crazy. Let me just snip these off. I'm just going to go ahead and snip it off. Now, again, the amount of ribbon you get is in this kit is 2 yards. And so if you wanted to, use up more of that ribbon, you could just adjust your you can adjust your sizes. So I have that extra. All right, so I'm going to try to do all these things at the same time. I'm going to try to make my bow, cover, and camouflage our 2 mismatched ribbons. I'm going to try to take our sign and cover we're going to do it just like that. So this is covering here, this is covering there, this is covering there, this is covering there. And then we're not going to do it we're not going to cover those perfectly, but hopefully it won't be blaring out there. The biggest thing up here I want to make sure is that I'm covering those pipe cleaners. So, I could put this off to the side like this. how do I do that so that that is covering this part? Let's see here. I can't because those won't move. All right, well, all right, let's get the sign in. Let's get the sign in. Get the sign in, get the sign in. All right, I'm not gonna tighten that. Just want to make sure that those are through. And we're gonna get the other side through and then we'll tighten. And this is sometimes the part that just is the hard part. There isn't any hard parts. Sometimes this is the hard part. Getting that mesh, I'm sorry, the pipe cleaner to go through that mesh can sometimes ruffle my feathers a little bit. All right, I'm going to push that in and flip us over. Tie that nice and tight and hide it. Just make sure that that was where I wanted it to be. It is. I know I just crunched that, but I'll put it back together in just 1 minute. Okay, and then one last thing before we add the bow, before I have another thing to smush, is I'm going to add a pipe cleaner. I'm going to add something. Add a something. Okay, this is a optional. This isn't a have to. Your kit doesn't come with a pipe cleaner for it. It is just optional, whatever you want to do. But we are going to add a pipe cleaner right here to hang the wreath. So what I'm going to do is, I found where I need it to be. I'm going to add my pipe cleaner around. And then that can get kind of pokey, so I'm going to put that underneath there. So it's got a clear spot to hang from. Okay. All right, so my sign is in, and I just got to put my bow in. So this is the longest, your first layer where those tails are, that's the longest part of your bow. So I'm always going to try to put those tails facing out. And since I don't want to cover up the black cat, I don't want to cover up my words, so typically I would put that bow right in there, but there's too much there I don't want to cover. So I'm just going to come down here a little bit and kind of put it right in here. Again, this is sometimes the tough part. And then also, one last thing. Where is the other pipe cleaner? I don't always make sure I'm wrapping around the frame. If I can, I will. As far as the bow is very, very light, okay? The mesh, there's so many layers there. The mesh would actually hold it. Maybe not exactly where, I'll just keep letting go. Maybe not exactly where you want it to be necessarily, but, sorry. In this case, I did get a chance to go around that frame. Sometimes I just put, it comes out here, and one pipe cleaner comes out here, and then I just tie it. There's so many layers of that mesh there that will help keep it in place. It doesn't, you know, I'm not worried about, you know, anything happening to it. I just smash that bow. Anyways, okay, I'm going to bring that down here. Bring that one straight up. And then just go ahead and fluff that bow to the best that I can. Making sure those layers kind of get everywhere. Again, it is a pancake wreath, so I'm not trying to make the bow super duper fluffy. In this case, of course, made the bow a little bit too big, and it's taken over our cute little house here. But still super cute. Adorable. So again, this is a kit, or was a kit. It is sold out inside my Etsy shop. If you're looking for other kits, you can check them out. But this is the Pancake 1.0 design. Nice and flat to fit between a main door and a storm door. The last thing I do before I take pictures is make sure all of those ribbons are facing out in the right direction, in the right spot, so that we can take a really good picture. It's another thing we'll be doing inside the class. I'll be having a couple videos where you kind of get behind the scenes of what my picture taking setup looks like, how I take pictures, how I kind of finagle some things, and why I do it to help y'all get the best shots there are of the photographs of your designs. Super duper cute, y'all. I love this very, very much. I hope that you enjoy it. If this was a kit that you purchased, I cannot wait to see what your design looks like. I can't wait to see in the comments and all the things. For now, I am Melissa from Sincerely Creative Mom. Thank you very much for following me. Don't forget, if you're not following us, make sure you're subscribed, you're following, you're all those things, so that you can follow along on our next tutorial. Y'all, carbswithmel.com is the class for the Pancake Frame, all about the Pancake Frame class. I hope to see you there. I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.